Hi friends, I'm Amy and this is A Star Reads, and it is finally time to do episode 2 for the game of Bookish Life, which took a little longer than I had hoped, but it's mostly because of this book. That one. So I'm going to talk about my rolls from last time around. I'm going to talk about the ratings that I gave these books because I don't know if I actually reviewed these in any videos at this point. And then I'll do some more spinning and we'll see what happens this time around, and be curious to see how long it'll take for me to get through the next books, whatever ends up happening. Also, I did end up having a few requests of people who loved me playing for the viewers in the past, and I'm going to do that today. I'm going to play up to the point where I'm at, so you're basically going to get as many prompts as it takes to get to where I'm at on the board. And I hope that works out. I think that if you can double up, triple up, do whatever you need to make this work for you, or just pick some of the prompts that you want to do. I kind of just wanted to give you the prompts that would take to get caught up to where I'm at on the board. And then going forward, I'll probably only roll 1 or 2 prompts every single time I put out a new video, a new episode. And so at the moment, there's a few extra spins in there for you, and hopefully it'll be fun to have a bit of a challenge. Okay, so from episode 1, my very first prompt was to reread a book from my school days, or my younger years, so like high school, early 20s, a long time ago. And it was supposed to be a YA fantasy if I could make both of those work. But that wouldn't work because I don't remember reading any YA fantasies when I was younger. So what I did was just went with the prompt itself, and that required me to take another spin. So for a reread from my school years, I went with The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan because I remember reading this book sometime around that part of my life. And at that time, I gave it 5 stars. Now, this is part of the reason it took me so long to get back to episode 2, or get to episode 2. It's not a very long book, but I just had a hard time getting into this, staying interested. A lot of it had to do with the fact that this just wasn't what I felt like reading at the time. And as much as I remember loving the stories in this, it's interesting to read a book that you read a long time ago. And even though I think Amy Tan's writing is impeccable, there's something about it that doesn't feel as smooth to me now that I've read other authors, read other stories, and it just, I don't know, for some reason I struggled a little bit with this. But like I said, part of it was that I just wasn't in the mood for it, and I shouldn't have tried to pick up a book that I wasn't in the mood for. I was thinking about DNFing it, soft DNFing it, and holding it off to another time. And that same day, I picked it up, and all of a sudden I was in the mood again. It was so good to get back into it when I actually felt like reading it, when I was ready for this type of book. And it made me realize how much my state of mind, what I was going through, affected my enjoyment of this book. And that happens, like different parts of our lives, different moments when we're feeling like only doing Bridgerton stuff or reading Bridgerton books, and we're trying to force ourselves to read books that are just not what we feel like reading. That can really make the enjoyment of a book go down quite a bit. I do recommend The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan if you like generational stories, women who have gone through some very extreme situations, immigrants that have come to the US and have had to face the challenges of moving to another country, of leaving their homes behind, and trying to raise their family, and the changes that they see in their daughters who were raised here in a different country within a different culture than what they experienced growing up. It's incredible. It's really well done. It just didn't... I struggled this time around, and that is mostly me. That's just mostly me. For the second prompt, I ended up landing on the stop sign and getting a career card, which was to be an artist, and then I have to use that card to inspire the choice of book I make. And if I combined it with the genre, it would be YA Other, which is basically any YA book, young adult book, that is not a fantasy. And I didn't have any YA books in general that weren't fantasies that had an artist element to it that I wanted to read. So what I did was decided to do another spin and just use the prompt. So my career card is artist. I went with An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. This is the 3rd book in the Bridgerton series. It's all about Benedict. And Benedict is an artist. And we see it a lot more in the TV show. We see his art being leaned into quite a bit. But his art is talked about and discussed in this book. And so it worked. It worked. Even though it wasn't the biggest focus of this book, I still think it works because Benedict is an artist. So I loved this. I gave it 5 stars. This was my favorite. It is still my favorite book within the whole Bridgerton series so far. Maybe at some point in the future, once I finish reading them, I should do like a ranking. But at this point, it's my favorite. I loved this one. I really, really enjoyed it. For Regency romance, granted, you know, I think rating is difficult to do because you're placing apples against oranges, and sometimes that doesn't, you know, a Regency romance compared to a very thoughtful literary fiction can be difficult sometimes to do ratings where you're rating two different books like that. But for what I'm looking for from a romance, this is absolutely a 5-star. I enjoyed everything about it. I enjoyed Benedict, our main character, and Sophie, his love interest. And the direction the story went in, it was like a Cinderella thing. So it was fun to have this retelling, in a sense, for a Bridgerton book. And now I can't wait to see Benedict's season, because I'm really hoping they'll keep it as close to the book as possible, because this is a book that I really enjoyed. For my third prompt, I ended up landing on a book card. And the book card was to flip a coin, and if I got heads, I had to pick the highest rated book on my Goodreads TBR. No, my owned TBR, because this is all owned books. That's right, I'm only doing owned books. And if it was tails, it had to be the lowest book, the lowest rated book on my physical TBR. And it needed to be an adult fantasy book. So what I did was I flipped the coin. I got heads, and so that meant it had to be the highest rated. And the book that was highest rated that I own is Jade Legacy, but I wasn't ready to read Jade Legacy yet, so I ended up picking the second book in the Greenbone Saga, Jade War by Fonda Lee. I loved this. I absolutely loved this. Another 5-star. Like, this has been a good time for reading. At least these 3 books was a good time, aside from the Joy Luck Club not coming at the right time. It still was a great book. Like, it's still a fantastic book and has a great story. So I'm glad that I got a chance to read that. I enjoyed this so much, even more so than Jade City, because although this is a lot more political and it's a lot slower pace in a lot of ways, I was so much more invested in the characters at this point. I was so much more invested in the story, all the dealings of the clans, what is happening within the greater world. I was just so invested, and I cannot wait. Well, actually, I started Jade Legacy at this point, and I'm ready for all the drama that's gonna ensue, because that's the ending of this story, and I love these characters at this point. I mean, like, when I say I love them, I mean, some of them aren't the most lovable, but I'm just so invested in their stories, and they're such complex characters. I'm enjoying so much what I'm learning about these characters that I feel like I will have a big reaction when things happen, which I think inevitably they will happen. And if those things sound good to you, pick it up. Okay, so when I last left off, I was here at Book Card, and I'm very curious to see how many books I'm gonna get during this round. Hopefully just one, so that I could, you know, do a quick turnaround, but we'll find out. Let's see what's gonna happen with my first spin. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sad, all the feels, and that is purple, which is classics. Oh, yeah, I'm sure, absolutely sure that I can find a classic book that will be sad. I ended up being able to make both the genre, the type of book, classics, work with the prompt, which is sad or all the feels. So like a sad book or a book that will make me feel very strong feelings and emotions. And so I'm gonna go with a book that was gifted to me by a wonderful friend who, Amy from Amy's Bookish Life, was like, you haven't read that yet? And then she was like sending this book to a lot of different people, which I thought was wonderful. And that is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, because yeah, this is a book that typically you read in middle school or high school, and I never had to read it. This was not on my required reading, so I never got a chance to read this one. It's a nice little short one, so look at, I'm gonna get through this episode really quickly, we hope. I still have a lot of books I need to read. And it sounds like such a fun premise, although I am reading Jade Legacy, which is about gangs. And this is also about gangs, but this is more high school gangs. And this is about a boy named Ponyboy who is 14. He's had a lot of trauma in his life. So he's clung to this rough gang of boys that he's a part of. And they fulfill a lot of the parts of his life that I think are missing because of the things that have happened in his life. And at one point, his best friend kills a member of a rival gang. Things are gonna get real. I imagine there's going to be a lot of really sad moments in this because of the happenings, what's going on, and the stakes that it places on these boys. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to reading something that most people have read in their school years and seeing like the value. Why do schools, why does curriculum, why do teachers want their students reading The Outsiders? I love thinking about that. I love thinking about what this contributes to the conversation when you have a class of students. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. And it's a nice short one. I'm excited about that. But yeah, this is a classic that I believe will give me a lot of feelings, and I'm sure that it's going to be sad based on the content. Okay, so I'm going to try and get you all as close to where I'm at as possible. And if you need to double up, triple up, or do whatever you need to do, and make all these prompts work. I think that you can try and do what you can. Let's see first if we're going to college or to career. And this will be the card that you'll be working with this time around. So let's see where we're going to go, college or career. College. Okay, perfect. That means we don't start with an extra book. That's nice. That's nice for you. You really don't need extra books. Okay, so for our first official spin, let's see how far we're going to go. Hope for big numbers. Oh, let's go this way. 9. That's perfect. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. School Days reread, and this is YA fantasy. That's what I got the first time. That is so funny. Okay, so your first prompt is exactly what my first prompt was, and that's a YA fantasy reread. And some people gave me really good suggestions when I put out the first video. So maybe some of you can reread those YA fantasies that you absolutely love. Second spin. 9 again. Okay, 1, 2, 3. A career card that is a YA fantasy. So this is the month of YA fantasies, I guess. And let me find my career cards. Where are they?
They're here. Okay, let's see what your actual prompt is going to be. And it will be based off the card that I pick. You can interpret this card however you want to, really.
But it's got to be based off this career, because you are going to be an accountant. You're going to be an accountant. So it could be a book that has money on the cover, or something, word that has to do with money, or has an accountant as a main character, or, you know, get creative. This is your prompt, and it has to be a YA fantasy. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, YA fantasy that has something to do with accountant, money, something along those lines. Our third spin. 3. That wasn't as far as you probably wanted to go. 1, 2, 3. Winter vibes or setting. Okay, interesting. And that is an adult fiction, because it's this dark orange color, which is adult fiction. So for the sake of my game, adult fiction is literary fiction, contemporary fiction, not romance. But it can have romance in it. It's not so much the focus on romance, it's the focus on the story and the people and the relationships and stuff like that. So literary fiction, contemporary fiction, or historical fiction that has winter vibes or setting, set in the winter time. Okay, let's see what happens with our fourth spin. 6. Actually, that probably works out really well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got us very close. Very, very close. It's a Quake Upper challenge. Okay, I'm going to get my coin. We'll do a flip of the coin. If it's heads, which is smooth sailing, it will be a Quake Up. If it's tails, it is rough seas.
And let's see. Nice, Amy, nice. That was not a good flip.
I'm just going to flip it up and let it fall in the... Rough Seas. I'm going to pick a challenge book, a book that is either long, I've had it on my shelf for a lot longer, or it's a tougher read, a little bit more challenging read. And then I'll explain how that's going to work to you. Here's my challenge cup with tons and tons of books in there. I haven't updated it recently, so any new books are not going to be in here.
But we'll see what we get.
Oh, The Lathe of Heaven by Ursula Le Guin. So, oh, that's an interesting choice. Let me go grab it. Okay, so here is The Lathe of Heaven by Ursula K. Le Guin. And I haven't actually read anything yet by this author, but I've heard amazing things. And this was a book that was given to me by my wonderful friend, Jezzy. So thank you, Jezzy. I'm not going to get to it yet. This is the book that the game chose for you. However, if you've already read this, or you are not wanting to read it, or you're wanting some more options, you can pick up any book by Ursula K. Le Guin. So, you know, pick up one of her other books. She has a lot of them, so you could always read something by Ursula K. Le Guin. Or if that absolutely does not work, or you've read all of her works, or you just need a little more freedom, pick up a classic sci-fi. These are older sci-fis written by authors. This was in 1971, so I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be around the same time, but I would like for you to pick up a classic sci-fi. So either something by Ursula K. Le Guin, this book, or something that is within the classic sci-fi category. All right, so that's the one book that I have to read this episode. Hopefully it won't take me too long and I'll be able to get through it. You have a few more. So take your time. Do what you need to do. It may take me a while to get to this because we know how terrible I am at getting to my TBR right away. And I still have tons of books that I need to read. So fingers crossed. I'm hoping that I can catch up a little bit and it won't take me too long to get to the next episode, but you go at your own pace. Let me know in the comment section down below what books you're choosing for these, and let me know in the comment section down below what you think about The Outsiders. Have you read this one? Was it required reading when you were younger? What do you think? Is it gonna be sad? Am I gonna cry? It's supposed to be. I meant to. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens when I have episode 3 come out after I finish The Outsiders. I've been doing a lot of mood reading lately. I've really been having a hard time reading books that I'm not in the mood for, so I've been mood reading, which I'm not a mood reader typically, but that's kind of all I feel like doing at the moment. And this is what I'm in the mood for. Like when I went and looked at my shelves, this is the only classic that's sad that I'm really feeling like reading right now. Except maybe Cannery Row, like a reread. But no, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna read this book, get it off my shelf, and we're gonna see how it goes. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.